I haven't done a head-to-head for a while, and although they take quite a lot of work, I quite enjoy them. Now, Astor+Banks are a microbrand that come out of Chicago, USA, and Second Air are a microbrand that come out of Melbourne, Australia. Both have a good reputation, and I would place both of them in the mid-tier sector. These are both Garda sports watches with several similarities, and I thought this would make a really good comparison. I'll be judging both watches and giving you a score out of 10 on the following: brand, movement and crown, case and crystal, bracelet, dial hands and lume, versatility and water resistance, presentation and warranty, and value for money. I'll then give a total score and announce the winner. And welcome to my head-to-head review between the Astor+Banks Fortitude and the Second Air Mandala. So let's start off with the dimensions. The Astor+Banks Fortitude has got a case of 38.5mm, a lug width of 20mm, a depth of 11.9mm, and a lug to lug of 46mm. On this bracelet, and once fitted to my 17cm wrist, it weighs about 130 grams. The Second Air Mandala has a case size which I measure at 39.5mm, a lug width of 20mm, a depth of 11mm, and a lug to lug of 45.5mm. Now on this bracelet, it's a little lighter than the Fortitude and it weighs about 120 grams. Now although the case width is 1mm larger than its counterpart, because of the design it looks about the same, certainly no larger. First up is the brand. Both brands are fairly well established in the microbrand world, but because Astor+Banks came to build and regulate their watches in-house, rather than Second Air just designing and QC checking theirs in-house, I believe this deserves an extra few points. So I'm giving the Fortitude a 9 out of 10, against the Mandala's 7. Both watches have the Miyota 9015 automatic movement inside, and both companies will regulate them where necessary. Wouldn't it be nice if more mainstream brands did this? It's a mid-range movement that is both accurate and reliable. It should be noted though that the Fortitude does have additional anti-magnetic properties, which is down to the insertion of some iron plates. Both crowns screw down and both are signed. The crown on the Astor+Banks is a tad larger and the engagement is buttery smooth. However, I prefer the knurling on the Second Air. Purely because of the additional anti-magnetic properties in the Astor+Banks, it gets an extra point, so the Fortitude gets a 9 out of 10 and the Mandala an 8. Both are flat sapphire crystals with an adequate amount of AR coating, so that's that out of the way. The case on the Astor+Banks has got an unusual bezel, where it's brushed on the top, but the sides of the bezel are domed and polished. The tops are vertically brushed, leading down to a nice polished transition, then horizontally brushed sides. There is also the advantage of drilled lugs. Now the case back is solid, and it's just got Fortitude engraved on the back, and a few basic pieces of information. Now the Mandala has got a sloping polished bezel, and that slope makes the case look smaller than it actually is. Now the sides are satin polished and slimmer than the Fortitude, but what is impressive is this watch has got an anti-scratch coating, which I would love to see on every watch. Now the case back is of the exhibition variety. Now some people really love that. Personally, I'm not bothered with it either way. The cases on these watches are quite different, but to be honest I can't say I like one more than the other, so they're both getting an 8. The bracelets on both watches are excellent and both very comfortable. The Astor+Banks has got this unusual shaped link. It's all brushed and tapers down from 20mm to 16mm, then back up to 17mm for the clasp. Both watches have screw pins for adjustment, but neither have quick release spring bars. As you would expect, the end links are solid, and in this case it's female. The clasp is of the friction variety. It's half milled and it's got 4 micro adjusts. The bracelet on the Mandala is somewhat more blingy, and it's got 9 links, but it's actually one link that looks like 9 links, if you know what I mean. Now it's half polished, half brushed, and it's quite stunning. Now the clasp is nicer than the one on the Fortitude. Again, it's got 4 micro adjustments, but it's got double pushers. You wouldn't be disappointed with either of the bracelets or clasps, but in my opinion the second hour Mandala gets an extra 2 points, with a 9 out of 10 against the Fortitude 7. Moving on to the dial hands and lume, and starting with the Astor+Banks. There is an inner and an outer ring, but apart from the gorgeous green dial, it's a little bit vanilla, if you know what I mean. I really like the grey dolphin hands and indices, and the lume on this thing is absolutely fantastic. The salmon dial on the Mandala is quite breathtaking, especially with this sunburst dial. Now the watch has got pronged hands, which look great, and it's something I've never seen on a watch before. The lume on this watch is actually very good, but it doesn't keep up with the Fortitude. This may be because Astor+Banks use C3X1 lume, and second hour use BGW9. I have to say I prefer the dial of the Mandala, but the lume of the Fortitude. I'm going to give the Mandala an extra point for the more original hands, even though I love the dolphin hands of the Fortitude. This was a real hard one, but the Mandala comes in with a 9 and the Fortitude an 8. Now this one should be quite quick. The Astor+Banks Fortitude has got a water resistance rating of 200 metres, whilst the second hour Mandala has got a rating of 100 metres. Now arguably 100 metres is more than enough, but it's something I can't ignore. However, the scratch proof coating does make the Mandala more resistant to damage. This is swings and roundabouts, so they're both getting a 9 out of 10. Both watches come in a leather travel case, and both are comparable. Here are the two. Now I've downloaded these pictures from the internet, basically because I couldn't be bothered to go up into the attic to get them. Now the Mandala has a respectable 2-year warranty, whilst the Fortitude has a very impressive industry leading 5 years. Purely because of the Astor+Banks fantastic warranty, I have to award them a 10 out of 10, whilst the Mandala gets a 9. Well, at present, the Astor+Banks Fortitude retails at $650 and the second hour Mandala at $790 Australian dollars. Now that means in real money the Fortitude is £492 and the Mandala is £405. Of course, carriage and duty have to be added to those figures. So is the Fortitude worth an extra £87? Now I suppose because of the extra manufacturing costs being screwed together in America, you could argue it is. However, don't forget the Mandala has got a scratch resistant coating. This is a real hard one, but I'm going to give the Mandala an extra point, not just because of the financial saving, but I also think it's got a little bit more of an X factor. So the Mandala gets a 9 and the Fortitude an 8. Now I can assure you that I didn't go out of my way to make this a draw, but I had a pretty good idea it was going to be close. As you can see, both watches get a 68 out of 80. So that brings me to the end of this head-to-head review. So if you've enjoyed it, click on the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what you think is the better watch in the column below, and enjoy the rest of your day.